I look crooked. How's that?
You were crooked a little bit.
Is it? Hope you didn't bring COVID with you. And what do you want? I didn't do anything, Agent Smells.
It's Agent Wells. And we just want to ask you a few questions. Where were you last night at 11:30?
The real question is, where were you? Out chasing innocent hobbyists like me? Or out yanking your crank smoking wires?
There was a small explosive found on victim's neck.
Ooh, sounds like a real hothead. But you know, that's better than those lemon heads. Those things are too sour for me.
Okay, Sourpuss, I'm going to ask you again. Where were you last night?
I was home with my sweetie working on the basement. You know, you can do a lot with a basement. Damn thing still leaks though, and cat piss really stinks up the place.
They died from explosion.
People die every day from people like you with no explosives. I think they should call it the Kung Flu. Shouldn't you be out in some rice field somewhere drying out your cell phone?
Are you going to cooperate? Or are we going to have to take you in?
Look, Jackwagon, I have a witness and an alibi. I was home. But people like Kung Flu over there should be back in their home country, but instead, they're over here spreading their virus.
You are the virus in this country. You spread your cancer with only one perspective: ego. Don't be the problem, be the solution.
If you're lying, Panetti, we're coming back.
Yeah, sure. Check me out. I never killed anyone. I love the thrill and smell of fresh combustion, but I never killed anyone. But if you lose a finger or two along the way, that's my thing. Get out of here.
Before I announce my next guest on the Downing Cut, we need to put a little disclaimer. There's going to be language, there's going to be violence, there's going to be probably some snide remarks, there's going to be some crazy talk. And so, without further ado, I would like to introduce Harold Lemmon, who is an actor, a scare specialist known for his performance at the Mopop Museum, city ads, haunted houses across the state. His role in the film Cousin, where he played Panetti, completely unlike himself. When he's not acting, Harold spends his time perfecting jump scares and dressing up to keep people on edge. As you can see, welcome to the Downing Cut, Mr. Lemmon.
Well, thank you for having me. None of that was in what we were going to agree to talk about. I didn't see anything in here at all. I forget. You know what this is right here? It's a Cousin script. You wrote it. You should know it.
Yes.
The cat just bit me. That was a bad joke. I guess the cat didn't like it either.
Holy smokes.
Ow! I'm getting tore up, but thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be here. I'm actually surprised that you'd want to take a chance.
I've been asking you to be on the podcast for a number of years. Well, okay, not years, months. We'll get there. Harold, thanks for being on the Downing Cut. Should we tell people how we know each other and how this craziness developed? Let's hear your version.
Well, wildly enough, I work over. I don't know if I should plug a place. Should I?
Well, let's not name drop.
Okay, I work for a major transportation corporation that is a public utility, and at the time, I was promoted into a new position, and my job official title there is occupational program administrator and something or else. But I'm an instructional designer. What
Are you though? Are you really?
Yeah, I really am. That's what they say. So what I do there is I make books and stuff. And so I was told that there was going to be two instructional designers, and the other one was in the pipeline working his way into the magnificent HR system. And he got promoted, and that's you. That's you. And you showed up about, I'm guessing I was there about a month
I
destroying.
wouldn't call it a promotion. I would call it a hire.
You were hired. I was promoted. I was promoted. And I don't know if they regret that or not, but it seems like they're happy with me, at least today. I don't know.
Well, today, yes. And then I was let go during COVID.
Yeah, yeah.
About that.
Uh, COVID. There's a lot to talk about COVID, actually. But
Doing. Stop molesting your cat.
I can't help it. The cat won't leave. She thinks we're in a meeting.
Well, she's not leaving because you're like aggressively. I've never seen anyone pet a cat so ferociously.
She loves it. The cat. The thing is, the cat. If we do this, it reminds her of when we were home working, and we were working, and then the cat would join in when I was working with you online during COVID. And
I see. I see.
so she just thinks this is a meeting, and so she's in meeting mode. So
Before we get started, I would like to talk about our sponsor for the podcast. Um, today's first segment of today's podcast is brought to you by Duber. Are you dead tired and need a ride? Are you at your last wit's end? Do you feel like you're doggone done? And what you need is a Duber, the Death Uber. We'll take you to your final resting place. We'll give you peace and quiet while you relax on the journey. Give us a call. We'll take care of you one last time. Duber, the Death Uber.
wow.
So I'm thankful that I've never had to use them, but they are available, folks, if you want to try out a Duber. And
Yeah, that's an expensive vehicle to operate. I put I have not even hardly, I think I've driven it twice this year, and that's it. I took it to Crypticon, and it was there, and then I think we drove it around a little bit. I think to the gas station. That's where I tend to go with it. It likes gas stations, but people are dying to ride. Yeah, I know.
their last ride, they're dying to ride.
Yeah. And the thing about a hearse is it's much rather better to ride in the front than the back. Just something that
But you do have a lot of leg room in the back.
you have a lot of room in the back. I think it's 8 foot. Back in my haunted house days, I've had three hearses over the years. And the first one I had, they had a casket at the haunted house, and they would load me up in the casket, drive me into the show, load me out of the car, and then I would spring out of the casket and then open the show, get everybody revved up for the show. And I lovingly called that canned ham because I was in the can in the casket. I should have sent that photo, but I don't know if I got one of that. This cat is just mauling me today.
All right, Harold. So let me ask you, how did your journey start when it comes to makeup effects, haunted houses, acting, and getting into the film arena or television?
I got tricked into it. My cousin, I was 13, and there's a picture of me when I was a little guy. I used to have the plastic fangs. I always wanted to be a monster. I just didn't know how. But my cousin tricked me into it to a friend's haunted house that he had. It was basically for charity. It was a charity haunted house for the Durian Flyers. And he says, "You want to go over and help park cars?" And I said, "Oh, sure, I'll go park cars." And I went in there and I walked into the place, and the haunt was there, the set was there, all of that stuff was there, and you could smell the makeup and everything else. And I really didn't want to park cars. So anyways, I went to the haunt and I parked the cars, and I parked all the cars. The first cars went like this, and then I brought the second cars in right directly behind them. Okay. And then I brought the third row of cars in directly behind them. And so when everybody came out of the haunted house, nobody could move their cars. And so I was taken off of parking duty. And I said, well, hey, is there anything else I can do here? And they said, sure. Do you think you can act? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I want to get in on this. I mean, the music, the lights, the sound, I was hooked. I was hooked right there. And that's where it started. My first act, I was a victim in the haunted house. And the guy tied me up to these logs. This is supposed to be a log. And I was tied up, and he takes an axe. We didn't have plastic props or rubber props in those days. It was steel. Okay, 1978, right? Steel, plastic hadn't been invented yet. And so he chops above my head, and I go, ah! And he says, no. He goes, no. And he drops the blade, and he goes right across, right here. And I'm, ah! He goes, do that all night. You do that all night, and you're in. And so that was it. I was hooked. That was my first night acting. And then the second night I acted was the cat's making trouble. I'm talking to my wife. But the second night I acted was the cat's back. I don't know what happened to him. The hatchet man laid off. And so I got promoted. And so I think I sent you a picture, and it's a newspaper clipping. The Highline Times came through the haunt that night, and there I was in my glory as the hatchet man. And I've acted in haunts ever since 1978, with just the exception of about, I think, 4 years in the 80s. I was out for a little bit. There was no haunt, and then COVID. And then with COVID, I've really kind of changed up what I'm doing now. But the acting has always been the magic of it. And you can do anything in the haunt. I can talk about that stuff all night.
How did you start getting into film?
That would be through, well, you primarily, I mean, honestly, the film. You are.
But before that, you were.
Before that, we did the news. I mean, it kind of started really weird, but the news would come down and give us a presser at the haunt. And so I got in front of the camera, but everything was ad lib. And so we did a bunch of shows years and years and years. And about, I want to say 1995 or so, my friend Gary Bell, my mentor in acting and everything else, basically says, hey, why don't we build a studio down in your basement? And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, we could do a show. And so we started making a television show, but we didn't know how to make TV. So we wound up going up to what used to be called Public Access. It's up by 92nd Street in Aurora. Somewhere up there was a public access channel. Anybody could go on that channel. And I worked in the camera, I did sound for those guys. I became a floor director. I was actually pretty good as a floor director, surprisingly, of all the things, acting and all that. The floor director, I was pretty good. But as a director, I sucked. And so one story from that was we were doing a phone-in. I was working for a phone-in live horoscope Viking runes program where they predict your future and all that stuff. And I put the wrong call-in live number on the screen. And so the talents out there like, well, we're waiting for the call now. Anytime there should be a phone call. It should be ringing very soon. And the phone never rang. And so the guy that ran the place he was an asshole. I'll just be honest. The guy was just a jerk. He wanted to be at Cairo or King or somewhere else. And he's stuck in this public access world with people like me. And he goes, you think you might have the wrong phone number? And I'm like, no, that's the number they gave me. And someone called the studio and said, no, the dude's got the wrong phone number up on the screen. And we finally made the correction. But as a director, I stunk. I was terrible. I didn't know what camera to use. I really didn't know. That was that. So we we come down here to the basement. We built a set. We bought 2 junky ass cameras. We bought videotape recorders. We bought a video tiling machine. All this stuff was analog stuff, just ancient. And we made a television show, and it was called Castle Dracula. It was basically all ad lib. Everything we did was ad lib. And so, honestly, Joe, this is no lie. The first time I ever did lines was working with you. I did a couple hack films. I did a couple hack films at work for Metro.
The cat is out of the can.
Anyways, I did a couple of those, but they were just cue cards, so that was easy. But this was the first time I ever had to memorize lines. So all these years later, 45 years later, I finally started doing this.
Now it looks like you're in a basement. Are you doing TV shows now?
What we do down here, it is this was the COVID hideaway. And so when COVID struck, we bailed out of the haunt business. I was working at a show up in Buckley, and the COVID was going on and everything got locked down. So we're like, what do we do? And I had this little bit of what was left of the video studio. By the way, we made 4 shows that aired on public access. And like 4 years later, still people were asking me about that show, that they had seen it because they kept replaying it. They liked it. It was a good show. Stupid, but no. I need to if I can pull my tapes out, maybe I can put it on and do it that way. I've done pieces from it. I haven't sent any of that to you, but it was wild. But backing up, when we had this little bit of the studio that was left, all that stuff was gone. I hadn't done TV since 1996, 97, somewhere in there. Just little stuff. And we're like, what are we going to do? And we just started building down here. And I'm just showing you a piece. What you're seeing behind me is basically about, probably a 7-foot piece of what's going on down here. I'll give you a little bit of a look. This is where it gets dangerous. Hi, I'm washed out. We've got ghoulies down here. We got ghoulies over there. I don't think you can see it because of the lighting. Now
Are these are costumes? Are these also costumes that you can put on?
We do. What we'll do is we have costumes, hundreds of costumes. And we do our own makeup. I learned all that through the haunt. And we start doing our makeup. And so what we do, my wife has a TikTok channel, and we're on there. And so we've got like 1,200 people that subscribe to us, which is shocking.
Does Rin want to say hi?
She's hiding. She went back upstairs, I think. She's kind of a fun thing. If we put the grease on, it's a little different, but just to be a natural person is hard, whatever that is. But we just started doing those. We were doing YouTube videos. I did a whole series of Count Howard's. He was a nut, and it was all this COVID-related garbage, and it was basically just to keep our sanity. I'll be honest with you. We feel like we need to perform. I met her in the haunted house. It was love at first sight. And we went through trials and tribulations and wound up getting married, and have been happily married ever since, 12 years now. And it went by quick. It went by.
Let me ask you, if someone tells you how long they've been married, do you feel obligated to say, oh, congratulations?
I don't. Well, congratulations. Okay, you're with your partner, I guess would be the.
Are you expecting to hear someone say congratulations? Hey, I've been with my wife for 5 years. Congratulations. We've been together.
Congratulations. I remember.
I was expecting that. Yeah. So
you were.
Yeah, I was just wondering if I should expect it.
Oh, well, are you fishing or what? I wasn't fishing. Whew, that's hot.
Yeah, you're wearing fur.
Yeah, that's something else I'm up to. We're getting our Krampus stuff, getting ready to do some Krampus work.
Oh, And where is that now? Is that Paulsville?
This one's going to be down. Well, there's one in over in your neighborhood in Bremerton on the 7th.
I think my sister-in-law and cousins are going to be there, or not cousins, niece and nephew.
Saturday. Congratulations. But yeah, yeah, coming up. We're not going to be there. We're going to be up with her parents, up with Karen's parents. But the next week is, and concurrent with that is a Santa Con or Santa Run that goes on in Seattle. That's 3 weekends now. That thing has exploded. There's like every drunken Santa Claus you ever wanted to meet will be in downtown Seattle these next 3 weekends. And there's a place down in Pioneer Square. I don't know the name of it offhand. It's terrible. I'm trying to plug stuff and I can't. But we're going to be down there next weekend, the 14th. And there's a whole bunch of Krampus. Krampus Seattle will be there. Krampus Bremerton will be there. Those are 2 Krampus groups that we know. And Krampus Seattle, they're always trying to invite us to do stuff. And now we're going to go do some stuff. So pretty fun. It's a different tradition.
On your IMDb page, I see that you were the makeup department head for the show, the movie, TV series, The End of Tomorrow. How did you land that gig?
That came through Rochelle Henry. And Rochelle was friends and made friends with Karen somehow. Well, not somehow, they made friends. But Joe Porter was directing that and producing it. And they asked, she volunteered that we were makeup artists. And so we went and did makeup for them. And it never got completed. I guess that's a common thing with movies, I guess. But it didn't get completed. But the makeup, it was really different for us because we're used to doing haunt stuff, which is usually really graphic. Okay, it's bright because in a haunt you've got to make an impression. You got to make it in 2 seconds. You got to make an impression. Someone has to feed into their bias, figure out who you are and what you are. This movie we had to do, make people look like they were people. And the continuity, I'd never knew how that worked until that movie. And so we were taking just a bazillion pictures of the actors and then doing their makeup, and you just hang out. Makeup, you hang out. And then something happens and they go, makeup, and the whole show stops. I've never felt so much pressure. And everybody's sitting there staring at you, and you're trying to, scribble something in mindful of the fact that you're trying to have continuity with it. And she did the work. She did the heavy lifting on that thing. The only thing I did was Amric. Amric was in that. And we stuck a post into Amric's neck. He was in a car crash scene, and there was just blood everywhere. And we shot that whole day with this makeup. I used latex, cotton latex. It was haunt stuff, blood. Looked good. It looked pretty scary. But then I was just scared to death we were going to have to come back on a reshoot because of the continuity. Because blood, blood will go east, west, north, south. It'll go anywhere. And I'm like, oh man, we're going to get stung on this. But it didn't happen, thankfully. But Hamrick looked like a mess. I should have took pictures of that. Somewhere there's pictures of it. It was.
I guess you're not really worried about continuity when it comes to a haunted house, though, day to day, right? You just do whatever you want. Is there any touch-ups? Do you guys have to get touched up during the show?
You can. I mean, we've done it. If someone really, if something happens and your face is wrecked, you can run back and get it done. But it's not like a movie at all. It is, I guess it's theater for the insane because it's so different than a movie. A movie is planned. There's things that are planned in a movie. In a haunt, it's so fast. You're just turning and burning. What's great about the haunt is you get a character, and I call it toes to nose, but you basically think about how's that character move, walk, talk. What are they doing? Why are they in the haunt? What's going on with that? How did they wind up in this room? And they start doing you start doing your thing, And what's nice about it versus a movie, and I would even say live theater, I think it'd be hard to do. Live theater, the lights are all on you, and in the haunt, it's not so much. It's usually pretty dark, so you can see immediately what you're doing. So if you test a line on somebody and like, hey, that caught, okay, we'll build on that, and you can just keep building, and it's all improv, and they'll keep messing. The audience can mess with you, you're messing with them. It's very, very rewarding. I've learned how I study body language with people. It's paid off many times because there's people in the haunt. They're not there to be entertained. They're there to try to hurt the monsters, believe it or not. And you'll see them square up in here.
What is the craziest reaction that you've ever received from being at a haunted house, scaring somebody?
I was down in Des Moines, and the show was quiet. Okay, there wasn't a lot of people going through the show, so maybe once every 3 4 minutes. I mean, it was slow, and so I'm like, well, I'm playing the vampire, and I'm hidden at the edge of a castle bridge. There's a castle bridge with railings on both sides, and so they're basically looking at the moat. The public would be watching the moat when they come in, and then I would jump out and do whatever I do. And so I'm like, well, hell, I'm taking a coffee break. And so I had a thermos of coffee, and so I poured a cup of coffee. You got to do the drama. If you're going to do this shit, do it right. So I'm pouring the coffee, and I hear footsteps on the bridge, and I turn around with the coffee, and these people go, ah, and they jump back. They jump back so hard they broke through the guardrail on the other side of the bridge, fell into the moat. They're in the moat, and I didn't do anything. They fell in. I didn't do anything. I turned around with a thermos and a cup of coffee in my hand, and they saw me and jumped straight back. And it was they were teenagers, and they landed in the moat. And so naturally, you ask the famous question, are you okay? And they looked at me. They let out a scream. They got up and ran. They were soaked. Ran into the show, and they were gone. And I think that was the most dramatic. I mean, I've had people lose bodily functions and everything else in the show, but I mean, as far as a straight up, I didn't do anything at all. That's what happened. But yeah, I've had them. I've had people shit, piss, throw up. I've done all that. Oh yeah, yeah. You get them right. If you get people right, man, they're going down. They'll fall down. I've had them fall down. It was yeah.
So who has to clean it up? The person that scares the people?
Oh, we never. It just rolls until the end of the night, and then it goes from there.
Oh my gosh.
One room. God, I can't believe I'm telling you this story. So I worked as a crazy lunch lady, and we had this lunch set. It was a gross out room. Okay, there's certain types of rooms in a haunt. You got jump scares. You've got like a theatrical set with theatrical acting going on. And you got the gross out room. It could be a hospital or it could be a lunchroom. And I was working the cafeteria as a crazy lunch lady. And there was something, that food was rotten. That food had been rotten for a while. And so I was basically taking tongs and going up to people and going,
Wait, you were using real rotten food?
yeah, 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 that's what you use when you want rotten food, you got to make it. So we did. And anyways, you just take the tongs and you're like, what is this? And the people are like, I don't know. And well, I don't know either. And so me, and there was another actor, and then another actor was coming in on the side with us. All three of us, there was something in that food, and we got sick. And I had to leave set. I had to get out.
Just from smelling it.
Something was in that food, man. It was either I was getting it through I was barehanding the shit too. That don't help. And it soaked into me or something. I wound up in the bathroom. I was sick. And then as soon as I cleared out, I was heading back to set. Here comes my partner, comes running in. He's sick. I mean, it was terrible, but everybody that went through there, this one lady, she was getting ready to yak it up. And she's like, oh, 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 and I guide her into the next room. You go puke in there. You know, the haunts are crazy. They really are crazy. But that was disgusting. I never did a food room after that. I no, that just no.
So, with your experience, vast variety of different situations, different venues, genres, shows, what qualities or skills do you believe set an exceptional actor apart from the rest?
I believe it would be an actor that, in the nature of that business, you have to be creative immediately on your feet. In other words, you come in that you're planning on playing the Wolfman. I'm the worst Wolfman in the world. I only did it like not twice, and that was enough. But you come in thinking you're going to do that, and they say, no, 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 we need you in the hospital tonight. And so you're instantly transported into a new world. You have to create a character. The best actors I've seen doing it are actors that can think up a history for their character and give them a name, and again the purpose as to why they're in this place. They do the best, and I've met a lot of great character actors. Philip acted in The Haunt, and we were out talking about it, shooting a movie with you. Yeah, he worked. I thought he worked for Georgetown Morgue. I'm not certain, but he worked in a haunt, and I think it really I that to be able to create that character, and you're not just bricklayer number three. You are, you're Stan the bricklayer. Why are you a bricklayer? Well, I'm a bricklayer because they didn't hire me for this other promotional job I was gonna get, so they got me stuck on this job. So now he's getting pissed, right? Now the bricklayer is getting pissed, and then you take that anger and you start venting it out. And I think that people can channel that stuff. They do the best. And again, it's improv. So there's no real structure to it other than what it comes out of your mouth, and then how the crowd reacts to you.
That's interesting. The have you ever taken improv? You haven't, have you?
I've never done nothing. I'm a rookie.
So, but well, I wouldn't say you're a rookie because you've been doing this for a number of years, right? So you're pretty seasoned at it. I guess my question then is, how do you become so like? How do you get in if you've never taken a class? How do you get into that mode?
Straight out. It's just pure magic. It's the ability to do something different. This is this guy. We know him, right? But now, wait a minute. I keep going back to the hospital. Why am I locked on hospital tonight? Now you're a surgeon in a hospital. Hey, that's kind of fun. Or maybe you're a demon or you're a vampire. I did vampire for years. I still do vampire. Uh, I love that ability to be able to do that, to play something other than myself. And I joke around about it. I think the hardest role for me to play is this one right here. I mean, the other stuff's easy. You throw a costume on, you roll, and it is fun. I mean, it's very rewarding to create a little world that people come to and pay to see that. It's not my ego talking. I'm working my ass off to convince them that they are not a part of reality, that this is real. What we're doing in here is real, and it's not fake. And to convey that, to push that out and emote that out, it takes some work. And you've only got, like I'm saying, I'm guessing about 5 seconds where they come in, they recognize you, they draw a conclusion based on their bias, whatever it is they saw. And I'm not talking about a movie character like, oh, it's Art the Clown. I'm saying any other character. I do real well with mental patients, amazingly. Is that wrong to say that? But I play them well. I play them well. I coach, studied from the bus, learned from the bus.
I thought you were saying that you scare them well, but you
Well, maybe I did. We don't know it. You don't know who's coming in the door of that place. But I mean, I studied people. I watched people on the bus, and so you can always kind of convert things. And I would guess I probably got like 4 or 5 characters that I can base off everything else in a haunt. I mean, their haunted houses are pretty standard, the thing that really bothered me was well, I was a casting director years ago, and I went to a local high school and went in and talked to the casting the teacher, and I says, "Hey, we got this thing down here. We do improv. We do monster. It's monster stuff, haunted stuff." She goes, "All you guys do is scream," and it just pissed me off. I'm like, "No, we don't. I can scare you. I don't have to do anything other than look at you." It could be natural talent, but it's one of those things that it's not just screaming. There are shows that that's what happens, but man, to create that, and you've got 5 seconds, and you got to sell that thing, and then either distract them, and then they get scared from something else, or you go in and you scare them. Uh, it's not a lot of time, so you got to really push it over the top. It's different than movie acting. That was the thing. Like with Cousin, I was having a lot of trouble because there were times I wanted to really like climb over the counter, so to speak, to yell at you guys and all that.
Now, if you recall, I said you could do that.
You did rev me up, and then I was scared because I heard people talking in the back about foul language and all this other stuff, and so it scared me out.
But who's the director? Who's the director?
I know now. Jeez. And I am spiking the camera right now.
I said you can swear, you can do what you feel is most natural and do it. I have no qualms about it.
If I were to do that again, I would have gone a lot. I played it. I was pretty wooden. I felt like I was stiff in that when
I got good shots though. The one thing that I noticed that when you were locked on to Philip, you were locked on, and then when you looked at me, you looked at me with some intensity. But I want to ask you something. I didn't realize this because I remember I did do a haunted house with you. I did volunteer to do a haunted house.
Guts out. I remember that.
I would tell you that I didn't do what I would normally do for a film. I didn't think of a backstory. I didn't really go deep, because I knew that people just passed through. I did realize that my back hurt at the end of the day and my throat, I think I was losing my voice. I don't remember I think my hearing was also going too. Those are the three things. Do you wear earplugs in those places? Okay. All right. But the backstory part is fascinating because I think that's what a lot of actors would do when they're doing a scene. But I didn't realize you guys actually talk about that in the haunted house as well, even though your audience is going through like within a minute or two.
They're just spinning through. But for you stuck in the room, the actor, your story continues whether they're there or not. And that was a thing that we used to really like, because a lot of our shows we had teenagers that were new to acting. And we're like, don't break character. Just stay. You get into whatever groove you're in, stay in it. And don't even worry about the audience. You just play. And, some got it, some didn't. Some were there for whatever reason. And, okay. But other kids did. And we did. And there was a couple guys that I know that went back and they were working on stage on Broadway. Came out of the stupid haunted house of all the things. And because they got it. And that was the thing, is just to keep the momentum going. And so like when I was acting with you guys, I just had supreme hatred towards you two. And Philip and I were making mugs. We were mugging each other terrible before the camera even started rolling. It was on, and I wasn't backing down, and he wasn't either. And then you weren't. And so that was the way that rolled. But that is from the haunt. I mean, where I just dead lock on stare at you. That's pure haunted house. People hate that. They don't.
And I knew you could do it. That was the thing. I knew you could do it. Do you ever scare yourself when practicing for the haunted house role, or is the mirror immune to your terror?
I used to do it in the car. I know people driving to work would think I was nuts.
You would actually look at other people.
Well, I'd just be driving and just going down, talking smack in the car, running dialogue with myself, and building up.
It's like a regular actor would. That's what actors do.
I just work it up, and then people are looking over at the. I'm like, what are you looking at? Haven't you ever seen someone like this?
Are you in full makeup?
I've done that. Oh yeah, I've done that too, where I made my. But generally, this would be on the way to the haunt or on my way to work, going to work. Just as I am. So they're really freaking out. But now the advent of the phones and everything, people don't really give you that look like you're completely nuts now, like they once did.
Yeah, they've seen it all. What if you didn't have to work? What would you be doing? Would you be, because obviously Halloween's only once a year. Is there any other creative aspirations you'd be doing outside of that?
Well, that's your fault. I'd like to do what you've been wanting to do and what you have been doing, and that's making movies and doing stuff like that. Serious. I would like to do that. I mean, if you've seen me as a car salesman, I can sell you a car. I mean, we've.
Matter of fact, let's pause. We have a sponsor that we need to
Is this a car?
give some airtime. So we'll bring our sponsor together.
No way. Oh my word, we do have that. Oh,
Hi, friend. Don't just be standing there looking stupid like her or anything. You come on down and see me, the king. I am the king of cars. You know what I'm saying? The king of cars. Let me tell you something. I'll put your ass in this beautiful car right here. This is the finest automobile you ever seen. It's loaded. And I'm saying loaded because it's loaded. It's got everything in it you ever need. You come on down here and you come here. Oh, I'm supposed to talk a lower voice. So you come on down here and I'll talk to you down lower. Let me tell you something about this car. You come here and give me $100 bills, put $100 bills in my hand, more. And I say, stop, that's enough money. I don't need no more money. Let me tell you something else. You know why I'm standing in front of this car? So I don't have to push it from behind. You come on down and see me at the king. I am the king. The king.
We hope that you go down to the latest car lot and get a car from the king. And I think you will never regret it. Never regret it.
it was a real improv. That was improv. We did 2 takes of that, I think.
We did 2 takes. We used the phone, nothing fancy. And it's in the parking lot. And ironically, there was a car alarm going off in the background. That wasn't planned. It was just there, which actually fit everything. But I will say to the audience, if you want, do campy stuff because it's going to help you learn how to edit. And that's what I was doing is I wanted to make something. I had that drive to come up with something and just learn how to edit, try stuff. Well, so what kind of movie are you going to make?
Oh, good God. What kind of movie would I make? No, 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 no. I would be in a movie that someone else is making.
Oh, so you're talking about acting.
You can't see me make a movie. There ain't no way I can make a movie.
I thought you wanted to make a movie. That's what I thought you were saying.
No, I do that schlock and that junk that I've done for years. Those are just little skits. Something that'll tickle my funny bone and in a way I run with it. But I'm not there yet. No way. I couldn't do that.
All right, so let me ask you this. What's harder, memorizing lines for a movie or staying in character when somebody screams at your face at a haunted house?
Memorizing lines.
And you want to go into that?
Memorizing lines was hard. The problem with it, all the actors that are watching, or if there are any actors watching this, I hope so. But if you're watching this, please don't take anything. But it is so hard to imagine. Okay, I say this to you, and then you say that to me, and then I say that. And it's this back and forth. And I'm still, while that's going on in here, I still have to emote. I still got to show something for what I'm doing. I'm not just, I hope that you made it today, Bob. I'm not doing that. I mean, I'm actually trying, I hope you made it today, Bob. And, and then the director's going, come on, climb over the counter, you ass. And I didn't do it. But I mean, it's that stuff that in the haunted house, they'll get right up and literally they'll get in and they will scream Is that what I do? But anyways, they'll scream right in your face. You don't break, don't you break character, don't you sweat, don't blink. No, 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 no. So this year, just a quick story, of course. So we're doing these kind of lurky ass characters. We're up at the Maple Valley haunt, and what I mean by lurky characters is they're not high speed. It's not in your face. They're just kind of walking around. They're behind you, stalking you, sort of. They're creepy, and then they do something like that, and that's it. That's all they do. There's no dialogue or nothing. It's this little smart alecky kid. He's about 8. Goes, smell my breath, monster. And you know what I did? Back into his face, and that was the end of him. He fell. No, he didn't faint. He didn't faint, but he got the hell away from me and damn quick because I stunk. And that was the end of him. And that's kind of how you can work in a haunt. So, I mean, memorizing to me is harder. I feel it is. And, not only do I have to say something that maybe I don't normally say, or act or do anything. Although you wrote for me a great character, there's still that you have to have that timing. You got to have the timing to watch what the other actor's doing. It was very intense for me. I came out of it different shooting that little bit of the movie with you. Yeah, and you're a good director. You're really good. You remember we did that movie and you socked me in the face downtown?
Oh, in the stomach. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, in the gut. You hit me in the gut, not in the face. All right. Yeah. And so, I mean, but there was this back and forth there. And so I'm waiting. And then you delivered, and over I go. And, I've taken falls in the shows. I've done that for a long time, which leads me to another subject. Yeah, it's a dance when you're acting in a production, I guess we'll call it. The haunt, you work together. But again, it's that improv, so you're not really quite sure what the hell the other person's going to do or what they're going to say. But you're on your own, so to speak. Whereas in a movie, you should try to stick to the script. I hope. I don't know. I tried.
Let's go back to that. So you're open to doing more film?
Yeah, it'd be fun. It's just a time commitment is my only enemy right now, and that's because of my employer. But I wanted to back something up though, and this is messed up. So when I was a kid, I used to go to TV wrestling. So I used to have TV wrestling down in Seattle, down at the Mercer Arena, and I'd go down there, and you know the stories. Wrestling is fake, right? You know the stories. Um, I actually believed them. Okay, I thought it was real. Like that guy and that guy, they were going to kill each other. There was no doubt in my mind. And the way they acted and emoted, and the wrestling is the other part of the dance, but there's all this other junk going on. And so we snuck up into the rafters at the Mercer Arena and went over the top of the ring and looked down, and then I could see what they were doing and how they were selling their punches and how they were faking everything. And I went, oh my God. And, the first thing you're thinking, oh, it's fake. I didn't see it that way. I went, oh my God, that's harder to do than the real stuff. And so I really started studying TV wrestlers because of the way they go about their business, the way they sell a punch, they sell everything. And I've always thought of it that way. And so when I act in a haunt or even, well, doing this even, I'm trying to make a sale, so to speak, to convince you of what my intent is. This was hard. This was hard.
Well, what character would you want to play that you feel like would be fun? What kind of character?
I always thought about the Panetti character was just about spot on. He's just a sleaze. I was amazed. I did not like that. What you wrote, the way that was written. Remember that? I was complaining to you about it. It went against my morals.
I was laughing because you put up a flag and I was like, it's okay, we know each other. And then one of the film festivals put up a flag and said, "Can we even show this?" And I was like, "Why wouldn't you want to show that?" I mean, that's so it's fascinating to me. I think, but there's films out there that deal with racial tension, discrimination, bias, racism, and I think that's that is the reality that we live in. So why not do a performance? I mean, look at Tarantino, his films, right? So there are cases where I think, and during the circumstance of COVID, I think that racial tension um, worked. I think it made sense to me. I think the jokes I wrote were kind of funny. I laugh every time you say them.
Good. But I didn't like that guy when I was reading for him. I did not like him. He was a sleaze. And so when I went into it, I'm like, oh man. And again, I remember telling you, I'm like, oh man, people are going to hate me for this thing. And I think I was right. I think I was right. But I hope that everybody understood, hey, I'm just acting. This is not how
How is that different than the haunted house?
we really, in the haunt, I guess that's a good question. In the haunt, it's more cartoony. I guess it's more cartoony. So that there is an element of, inside your mind, you're saying that's fake. And you're not going on a racism kick or a sexism kick. I mean, I've seen actors do that and they got fired. Yeah, they got fired. They no, the haunt won't tolerate that. So you got to treat everybody equally with equal hate or equal love, whatever. But I mean, you don't go after people specifically. That's a dangerous place. Even though I did go in a kid's face, and he deserved it. But yeah, he deserved it. But
Have you ever scared someone where they just got angry at you for scaring?
oh yeah, oh yeah, I've been threatened. I've been kicked, punched, spit on, had shit thrown at me. Um, I think the funniest story, I got a Canadian story. Now, this is going to sound racist, maybe. I don't know. How do you feel about Canadians? You like Canadians? I like Canadians. I love them. And we went up and acted in a show up in Vancouver. My wife and I did. And so we were up there scaring people in the haunt. And I scared this guy so bad he face planted in the wall. Just wham! I mean, he jumped hard and went into the wall. And he goes, fuck! Sorry, the Canadian thing. He apologized to me. The guy apologized to me and said sorry for saying the F word. And I had basically put him into the wall. I could not believe it. I couldn't believe it. And I don't want to say it's stereotypical, but everybody I met up there was really nice and polite. They're very polite. It was a different environment up there. Acting down here, it was more of a challenge. People are more into the mood to challenge you as a monster. Up there, they weren't. They were more into the entertainment of it. It was very psychologically. I was just like, "Aw." I mean, these guys are going down, and I'm not doing nothing. I thought that was pretty cool. A lot of fun, but yeah, what a trip.
What is your favorite? Well, let me ask you this. I've asked you this in the past. So let's give some context with the audience. So Harold and I, we played a little podcasting thing back in the day called Infinite Gist. And because I really had this weird thing of wanting to do a podcast, which is what, I mean, here we are now, right? How many years later? And we had talked about, we were interviewing, I think part of the podcast was just talking about whatever. There was no niche, it was just whatever. Where this one is more geared toward acting, filmmaking, and that type of thing, because that's my background and that's what we all know. So finding people to connect with that. But Harold, I want to ask you, obviously you love to act, you love being a character, you love improv, you love the challenge. Why did you pick the horror genre?
That was what was there that night when I was asked to go parking cars. That was it. And so that's what I jumped into. Um, the humor of stuff, I started doing the humor stuff as I got more comfortable doing things. and I got into the humor side of things. My humor is just it's schlocky, I guess is the best way to put it.
What does schlocky mean?
Just stupid stuff like the King of Cars. I mean, the King of Cars, that's just schlock, man. It is. It's just shtick. It's just junk, and it's fun. I love doing it. But it was
I do love comedy.
the haunt. Well, comedy's weird. That's a whole nother timing thing that I don't know. But the haunt is, you again, it's that you have the power of being scary, but you also have the power. You can be funny as hell, and that was one of the things that I would kind of capitalize on, depending on the character I played. I'd be funny as hell and then turn right around with a butcher knife and come after you. But that's the only thing. The haunt was there, and there I was. I never took drama in school. I didn't do any of that.
I interviewed a filmmaker who also taught acting, and she said something that I haven't heard anyone else say to me. She said because she actually taught it. She taught acting as well. And she said there are people out there who are born with the gift to act, and there are people who are not. And she said the people who are born, those are the ones that need to excel. And there's going to be a handful of people who don't have that ability or have that skill set or talent who are taking acting classes and trying to sharpen. And she said something to the fact of basically those folks, they can push as hard as they want, but if they don't have that essence of being an actor, they could be background or they can have small roles. So it's interesting. Well, it's interesting because you've done this. You haven't had any acting classes, but I think you're a natural talent. I think you have this natural skill set. I think you have that ability, that skill that a lot of people wish they had. And I think part of it from knowing you, and I think a lot of different actors as well, is that your inhibitions are not there. I think there is a hesitation when it came to Cousin though, because Cousin, I said, all right, here's the deal. Here's the character. Here's what I wrote it for. I made it specifically for you, and you were still hesitant. And I was like, what is going on? But if I said, hey, can you dress up like a ghoul and be in the corner, you'd be like, okay.
The Cousin thing, I gotta go. Let me go to. I was casting director in The Haunt, and a casting director in The Haunt with volunteers is one night you have 50 actors, one night you have 5, and so you learn right away. It was volunteer. You learn right away to try to cast your strengths, I guess is the way you put it. And what I found, again, yes, there are naturals. I've met them, no doubt. But I've also seen kids that came in and watch this thing. This thing will trick you. And you look at me like, oh, wow, you are going to be a great loaf of bread. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And then you turn right around and that kid goes into that set and all of a sudden something happens. And I've seen them, they come in, they are so shy. Maybe maybe they were abused at home, school, life, I don't know. And they were just, basically like that. And they come into the show, they're curious about it. And I would just sit there and they would blow me away. And maybe, again, it's the natural thing, but all this time up to that moment where they went into the set, there ain't nothing there, man. No one's home. And you're like, oh boy, this is going to be fun. They go in and they tear it up. And then you'd see them start building their self-confidence. That was the cool thing. And when they'd leave the show at the end of the year, it'd be a whole different person than the one that walked in the door on the first day. And they'd never done it before. They didn't know. They were just curious. That was really fun. And so I had to really learn to just kind of sit back. And then after, you'd have them act a day or two or so, you kind of get to know them a little bit, you talk to them. And then it's like, well, hey, what do you want? What are you curious about trying there, loaf of bread? And they're like, well, I want to be a cinnamon roll. Okay, let's try that out. And away they go. but I have seen people that were just super, just they come in and they're just on fire. Uh, the group we're currently working with down there at Georgetown Morgue, we've done we just do a few now per season. I can't act like I could years ago. I just don't have the energy, the stamina for it. But you watch them, and they're just boom, 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 and they just roll. That show, that's all you hear is screaming from front to back. I'm not plugging the show, even though I'm plugging the show. They are intense down there. It's amazing. Cousin, for me as an actor, when I got really truly nervous, we shot the movie and it was at that premiere in Bremerton, and the people all started. They were talking with you, and everybody's congratulating each other, and they're, well, we'd like to talk about Panetti and this racism thing, and they started in, and there was like 6 questions. You remember that? There's like 6 questions in a row about this Panetti guy, and I'm just like, oh no, no. But the character, he's such a sleaze. I loved him. And I hope I played him sleazy because that was the whole. When I read it, I just went, "Oh God, this guy's just a slime." And I felt he was. I still feel he is. But that was. I got nervous. I didn't. I didn't like that where they were. They're asking the actor me, but they're asking about the character. That was weird.
I think the criticism was why I chose to put the character into the film. And that's where I was getting the flack for that. And I'm like, well, it's my film. It's my film. But the reason why I did it was because it was supposed to be a distraction for Jin. So we needed to lead on to something else. And, I don't, the way it's kind of a linear thing, but for me, it works at the end because it gives Jin the drive of going, okay, this guy's awful. I can't sleep. I can't rest. People like this exist out in the world, which is reality. But it's important to have friends no matter what you do. And today's sponsor for our third sponsor of the show is Bakia. Whenever you go shopping, you need a friend.
Need an assistant to guide you through IKEA? Introducing Bud Kia, your new shopping buddy. Looking for some soft linen? Or perhaps a new crib? He'll help you find what you need. Want to test out the latest kitchenware? Or try a new living room? Bud Kia will help find the right fit for you. Bud Kia, your new shopping buddy. Don't be caught without one. Bud Kia.
So thank you for sponsoring us, Bud Kia. We really appreciate it. If anyone wants to have a friend while they go shop at IKEA, sign up for the Bud Kia program and they will send someone towards you. Yeah. So obviously you've seen that Harold and I have had fun, and this is I will say to you this, Harold, you are always welcome to be in my films, and obviously you're coming back for the next cousin. We're going to do a part 2, and in a totally different role. But I would you forgot you signed up for that part? I guess you did. Yeah, it's not in that script because that's only part 1. Part 2 is, yeah, it's probably copies. Because I didn't write the second one. The process here is I would like to do more comedy stuff, but for whatever reason, I made a film because I like thrillers. I like films that make you think, and that's why I was trying to do it. So plenty of opportunity for you. We will definitely do more. And I want to ask you, though, what is the most constructive criticism that you've received acting that really helped you out, that stuck with you, that was a positive thing?
That's so bad. It's like the guy in the hot said, "Get away from me, motherfucker!" No.
That was good criticism.
Uh, Constructive wise, don't be a rail hanger. That's what we used to call it. In our old shows, we used to have railings where the public would walk through, and a lot of the actors, myself included, felt like we had to, and you don't need to do that. You can be, actually twice as scary 8 feet back because you're less of a threat psychologically. That's what they think. So that probably was good advice. Don't be a rail hanger. The other thing that happens when you're not a rail hanger is you don't get socked in the nose. That's another thing that comes from that, another benefit. Uh, but I think unfortunately, I guess I never really, the directors I worked with a lot of the years, I was the director. And so I wound up, kind of criticizing myself. And I think that was, for me, is sometimes you got to know when to hit the pedal to the floor, and there's times when you got to back off. And yeah, you got to back off. Just let this thing kind of ride, and then you can come at it later. There, but I think that's probably it. Is there's times to throttle up and times to throttle back. And if you've got that time, you're gifted with that time. You know how to use it.
Do you, when someone walks in, like this is what I know we're talking about acting, but at the same time, I just thought of this question. If someone's walking into your room at the haunted house and you're observing them, are you observing them or are you just in your own character? And then if you're looking at them, how do you know that what you're going to do is going to scare them? Is it the way their body language is kind of relaying that message to you? Their facial expression?
It's all psychological. And so as a character, even if I'm looking out of the corner of my eye, I'm watching their feet and how their feet are moving. And I'm looking at a lot of times in a haunt, it's groups of people. So there's 3 or 4 or 5 people. And I'm looking for what I call the mark in that group. Who's going to bust that group in half? And so for me, my challenge was to find the biggest, baddest person in that group because they are the protector. And that's who I'd go after. And depending on what I was doing, a lot of times I was pretty successful. And once you do that, once you split and they split up, I've seen guys and girls get into fights, boyfriend, girlfriend type scenes where they got in a fight. I scared the boyfriend. He ran out and the girl's standing there looking at me. And I'm like, well, he went that away. And you could hear him, man, around the corner. It was on. And I've done that. So you definitely are watching their body language. Someone that's kind of, real sketchy feeling, that's going to be an easy one. That's an easy mark.
What if someone comes in like this?
You know what? If they're in there doing that nonsense, they're not going to get nothing out of me. I'll talk to them, but I'll back right out on them. It's like, forget it. You're just here. If you're here to do that, and you watch their feet, because they'll square up. If you watch their feet. Now, with that being said, every time I got clobbered, I never saw it coming. And it usually came in on a blind side. I had my head turned. I kind of learned how to fall and fade away in a set if I was really coming in on it. But I would fall away. And even on that, sometimes they'd catch me. I'm thinking maybe 20, 30 times over the years. And, most of the haunts were 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Been hit 20 times?
At least, I'm figuring, and spit on and kicked. But, again, look at the nature of my business. I'm there to antagonize you. And, that's 2 weeks a year times 40 something years. That's not a lot of strikes. I haven't been nailed that many. But, every one of them, I deserved it.
There's something to be said then, just to stay out of people's bubble, right? Because if you're out of their bubble, you're not going to get hit. Unless they come charging after you, but most likely going to run the opposite direction, right?
Yep, step in a lunge used to be the rule, but you got to get into that comfort zone. You got to break their bubble sometimes, and that's where the trouble starts. If you get really, that's where your ego can trap you. Like, man, I'm the scariest sucker here tonight, boy. I've got him. and you start falling into that trap where you're going to get everybody, you're going to scare them all, you're probably going to get socked. Somewhere you're going to make a mistake because there's always someone bigger than you are, and they're going to get you. Most of the time that I've been hit, honestly, was people that just went, and they threw their hands back. And I caught, you could catch them in the backflow of it. That's most of it. But there were some intentionals. I got knocked out one time, and it was in a strobe room, and that sucked because all I saw was, and that was it. And then it was like whack, and down I went. He got me. He cold cocked me right there on the floor. And I woke up and I could see him walking away. I was just like, what just happened here? But I do remember that fist. The fist was just getting bigger and bigger, and I'm like, huh?
There was one set piece that you guys had. That's another thing. The sets at the haunted house are pretty fascinating. Like they are just mesmerizing because when you see it, you don't realize how much work goes into the sets. And you guys know all the camera tricks and the Pepper's ghost and stuff like that. There was one that you're in a tube and it's turning and it's just turning and you're walking straight, but it makes you feel like you're going to lean and you can't walk straight, which blows my mind. That is the weirdest feeling ever, to be like, nothing's moving except for this tube and you're in it and that's it.
Man, if you go on YouTube, there's a whole, I can't think of their name, but anyways, they go to haunts all across the United States. It's a group of these people, and they hit these shows. And there was one, and that thing, typically they're called vortex tunnels. They're probably 20 foot long, 25 foot long, maybe. This thing was at least 40 feet going clockwise, and then there was a platform, and the sucker on the other side was going the other way. And so these guys, they wear GoPros and stuff, and they're going in, and you see everybody leaning like this, and then all of a sudden they get into them, and they're all leaning like that. Like, holy cow. Unbelievable. And there are some fantastic haunted houses back east. I mean, really good ones. It's worth your time just to look at it. The lighting, the sound, it all has a purpose in the haunt, and it does in a movie. But where you position your lighting, the thing that's messed up with we've discovered down here, I can control everything down here. So right now I've got these two white lights on me. I can change that. I can do anything with it. In the haunt, you can't do that so easily because people are walking through the middle of it. And so if they turn around and there's a big old light sitting there looking at them, then the fantasy has been blown. So there's it's a real kind of a dicey thing in a haunt where you do your lighting. I love doing it. It's a lot of fun. Could I do theatrical lighting? I probably could. I mean, I wouldn't have to worry about the lighting. And that's kind of what we do here. I mean, some nights it's red night, some nights it's blue night. It just depends. And I got a fogger down here. Is it going to work? Oh, let's see if it does anything. And, it looks like I've got gas. Ew. That's not the way that was supposed to look. Ew. Yeah, this thing's actually kind of fun. It's a portable. It has its own battery. It's a cheapo, but it has its own battery. So when we've done outdoor shoots before, good stuff. But we've done those shoots where we can use this and take advantage of it. And fog's a whole nother thing. I just bought a snow machine too. Oh, I'm losing you. Oh,
Snow machine. It like snows? Is it foam?
it does soap. Yeah, it does soap. But this thing's really fun. I mean, when you're doing a camera shot and you just come cruising in with a fog machine, it changes everything. You don't have to play with filters that much. Wow, this is really a mess. I didn't think I did that much.
So Harold, what's next? What's next? Anything you're working on now or in the near future?
We just do our basement gig.
You have to send me the link to that.
Okay, and then we do the TikToks, and then we do basically it's kind of like whatever we want to do. Wow, look at this how the fog is leveling in here. This is badass. I love this stuff. Uh but the right now coming up will be the Krampus thing, the week after this next weekend. And that'll take us into whatever time that is. And then I don't expect to be in another haunt until September-ish, October-ish again of next year. I'm not building sets or anything there. Anything I want to do set wise, I do right here in the house. And I wished I could show it to you. I'm embarrassed because we got to clean it. Uh, I mean, really, it needs what? This looks like it needs to be cleaned. But on the other side,
Have you offloaded a lot of your costumes?
no, unfortunately, we've not. They're still here, and they are wonderful. I don't even have a clue how much is wrapped up in that stuff. Our makeup is way over the top. We do a lot of grease paint uh in the TikTok videos and stuff, and I'm thinking we were talking about the other night. It's like, hey man, we got to get out the old good old fashioned gelatin and the latex stuff and start playing with that. So we're gonna do that. We've got airbrushes. We goof with those. Uh, the basement's set up in a way that you can kind of do. Over here's like a hole. There's a bunch of skeletons over here. There's these guys. I guess these are like the bat people. We've got the lava demon, and then we got a plague doctor. Then we switch over into a little foresty thing, which is about 5 foot wide. It's basically just props for photos, and it's a tree. It's a huge tree. The tree comes up over the ceiling, all the limbs and the branches and stuff. Then it transitions into a throne, kind of a royal area with a fireplace over on that side. We still haven't figured out what to do over there yet. It's coming. It'll happen.
So you literally have about 5 sets downstairs.
So we can figure out what mood are you in tonight. And so if you want to go goth, then you come back here. Back here. These guys, you can do anything with them. They're pretty cool. We had to get them to fit. They're actually all too tall. I had to surgically mess with them to fit them in the basement. The basement's too low of a ceiling. These are 7-footers, and so I had to cut them off at the knees, so to speak, to get them to fit. But it's all fun, and you just come down here. On a night. It's like, hey, let's just take some pictures. We come down and take pictures. So that's kind of.
Well, thank you, Harold. Thanks for being on the Downing Cut.
Thank you for having me. That actually was a little less painful. Yeah, it wasn't painful. I was expecting we were going to be fighting over the phone or something.
Well, yeah.
Don't ever do that again. Don't do that to me. Ever.